Hi guys and welcome to the channel. For this one we're just going to be starting a nice, easy, fresh project for the bench. Something to sort of get me back into building. Something without a massive amount of challenges, I hope, and something that's going to pretty much fall together and we're going to still end up with a nice kit at the end of it. I know it's not vintage, I know it's not rare or anything like that, and I'm not really going to be building it far from how you get the kit in the box. I might do a little bit of extra detailing, but it's going to be pretty much a box stock build bar and maybe a bit of paint detailing and maybe a bit of engine detail. I really don't know. I don't know how far I'm going to get into it. The whole point of building this one is just to have a bit of fun, get me enthusiasm back a little bit, and actually create something again, which I was really enjoying doing with all my past builds. And life just took a bit of a turn, and we've had to deal with quite a lot. But yeah, I've wanted to build this one for quite a few, well, since it came out, to be honest. Looks like it builds into a really clean kit. I don't think there's many parts in it, to be quite honest with you. It's almost like almost a little bit like a die cast kind of construction mold. I mean, this one was brand new in box. I've just unbagged everything to have a quick look at before we do that. I'll get the box out there. We've seen enough of that. Them Revell cereal boxes, which they persist on putting the kits in, which everybody hates, but they don't listen. But yeah, so be it. But it's quite a nice proportion body and what have you. I think we'll probably end up scribing the panels out and getting a bit more depth into them, because I am the biggest fan of using panel liner on bodies. Just said, but whenever I do it, I'm just never happy with it. They look great when other people seem to do it. I see it seems, but when I got a model up close and personal, I've never liked it when I've done it. So, we'll try and get them doors scribed out a little bit more, just so we have a bit more depth. But it looks like a pretty easy construction kit. Comes in multi colours, this one. Really horrible half translucent kind of red. So yeah, we'll have to get rid of that and give it a nice, well, it's going to be the same colour as the Galaxy. That was another reason I've chose this one, is because I've still got some red bits to do on my Galaxy, and I've just not found the enthusiasm to bring out a spray booth for that one. But yeah, like I say, we'll just have a quick look at the parts. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but looks like it's got some nice matte texture, which will hopefully come through on the paint as well. But yeah, it's pretty much a basic kit as this one likes. I've always had. Yeah, I've never really looked at one of these in detail, so I've just got bits of packaging where I've just ripped it all out 5 minutes ago. But yeah, it's things like these stupid hinges which look about 4 foot long on a real car. It's just, yeah, we'll have to do stuff like that, and maybe get rid of some of that die casty toyish kind of feel they've got with this one. I mean, it's a bit like, what's that? The Revell brought out that 70 Challenger, and it was the first Challenger. I wanted to build another Gone in 6 Seconds one, or the Vanishing Point one, or something like that, and it had the right hood, and because it was a new tool, I thought it'd be an absolutely brilliant body, but god, that body was absolutely terrible. I think then I found out it was just a copy of a die cast, which they'd put together and made into plastic, and it was an absolutely horrendous body. The 65 Chevelle as well, there's something about that one. That 65 two-door hardtop, whatever, the SS. Yeah, that wasn't a very nice kit either. Well, it was a nice kit, but yeah, there's something a little bit off with that body too, I think. But yeah, we just got some, interior panels look quite nice and what have you. But And then the black parts, you know, it's just suspension bits and what have you. You know, like I say, I'm not a huge overly detailed chassis person. I do like my old sort of promo style chassis where you can make it your own just with paint, and you haven't got to worry about how the manufacturer has decided your wheel, your ride height is to be, or yeah, it's like some of them Mobius kits, they all look like they all look a bit far before to me, with the way they set, and yeah, some of the sort of 90s Tool AMT stuff, you know, where they started putting in the separate chassis and what have you, you know, all wheels look like they were sticking out the wheel arches, and that's kind of why I do like me old kits, because yeah, you can deal with all that yourself, and you're not worried about you can pretty much easily set a ride height on an old kit, and not got to modify loads of suspension arms and what have you to tuck the wheels back in. But yeah, I mean, it's just a pretty much basic kit. Not even talking about it while I'm showing it. But yeah, so like I say, I mean, there's not a great deal of parts to the kit at all. Chrome's nice. Yeah, rear tail light panel, bumpers, the 5-slot mag wheels, and I really think you're gonna have to black wash them down just to take a bit of that toyish shine away from them. I'm not bothered about re-chroming them to make it look more realistic. I just want to tone it. I'll probably just tone it all down a little bit with a bit of black washing in the right places. I think that'll be enough for that. But yes, I think that's gonna be the next project. Oh yeah, well, there's some wheels there with more packaging on. As you can tell, doing kit reviews or anything like that on a modern kit, not my thing. And you won't see many of them, I'm afraid. But for the purpose of this build, yeah, I thought we'd just have a look at it before we start it, and still having problems with my camera. Don't know why it keeps on going from really bright to not. It's gonna be a case of me just going into the shop and seeing if they can figure it out for me. But yeah, decals always look pretty good on these kits. It don't look like, I don't think you'll get too much bleed through on the white stripe and what have you. And there's a lot of stuff in there to help you easily make a nice looking model without putting too much effort in. So yeah, with that, I think I'll probably just have an hour on it, a couple of hours or something. I've just been to the post office, got rid of a load of stuff, so I think I can probably free up the rest of my day, or a bit of my day, to have a couple of hours at the bench, which is what I wanted for quite some time. Yeah, and the glass I'm not even going to take out. Got tail lights and screens and what have you, but they can stay in there until we actually need them. So yeah, I think I'm just going to set to work, start cutting bits off the sprue. Start cutting bits off the sprue, and then just see how far we get in the next couple of hours. And then I think the plan is to hopefully get the body and paint at the weekend, because I really want to start painting some of them Galaxy bits. And so I will be doing kind of two at the same time, but this one's going to be done a long time before that Galaxy. I'm hoping to have it done in a week or a couple of weeks, at the max, to be quite honest with you. I don't think it's going to take any more than that. But yeah, so we're just going to crack on. We're going to glue a few bits together, do a bit of prep on the body, and we'll see where we get for the rest of the day. Okay, see you in a second. Right then, well, we've had about an hour and a half on this now, and to be quite honest with you, most of it's probably gone into rescribing all the panel lines. I just wasn't happy with them at all, the way they were. They weren't bad, but they were very shallow. I mean, they were quite wide to show you panel lines, but they were really shallow. And I knew a couple of coats of my coats of paint would probably fill them to the point where you could barely see them. And like I say, I didn't want to use panel. I don't want to use panel liner wash when I've painted it and everything. So with it being coloured plastic as well, it's a bit more difficult to work with. It almost feels a bit more grainy under the scriber and what have you. And there was a few problem areas where the front fender meets the door. It didn't seem really uniform to me. It's almost like it was bubbling out and going into a valley into the original panel line. So I've sanded quite a bit of material off here just to try and level it out a little bit. I mean, I know on real card, panel line, wing front fenders to doors wouldn't have been great and what have you, but for a scale model, I do want to try and make it nice regardless of the simplicity of the kit. With a bit of a focus issue here, to be quite honest. It's probably a lot of junk on the bench at the minute, but I just glued these come with two separate corner bumper pieces behind the chrome bumper. I'm assuming it's because on the real car, I would have thought by mid-70s all this panel would have been like a rubber filler or fiberglass filler of some kind to add for the protection bars behind the bumper and what have you. But yeah, I mean, we spent a bit of time on that, getting the door scribed out. I think I'm relatively happy to get that in primer. I was going to glue the mirrors on before paint, but they've got pre-drilled holes in there. And I don't think the only reason I'd potentially do that is so I'm not ruining paint, but I don't think that's going to cause me any issues at all with that. I did just cut a little. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing with the hood, to be quite honest with you, but for now I've just cut off them massive legs what fit down into the body. And in all fairness, it doesn't really fit straight either, so I'm going to probably have to do a bit of work on that. It kind of sits up. I don't know if it's slightly distorted or something, but yeah, it's a bit rocky is the hood like, so I do want to get that sorted out, to be quite fair, before we go any further with it. But I think I'll probably throw on a little bit of primer on it tomorrow, just so I'm set up for paint at the weekend. Just threw the engine together. I got it to a point where I can detail paint everything. I've left the valve covers off and the air cleaner and what have you, but I'd rather just get it all together and just pick out the details with different colours than going into any massive detail. Plus now I know that I can, if I do want to wire the distributor or anything, I know where I'm going to be drilling my holes in between the headers and what have you. So yeah, that's pretty much ready to either start drilling or paint, or at least put the main colour, engine colour on it. The chassis, for now I've just glued the firewall and the radiator, the not firewall, the core support and the radiator to the chassis. In all fairness, I wasn't really particularly happy with the fit, but there's nowhere else really for it to go. But I mean, I'm not going to struggle with it now because it's a pain in the ass getting that body on this chassis. But yeah, it does and I've tried it all different ways, and unless you're gluing the core support, to the body, which I'm really tempted to do, just leaves a bit of a gap this side once it's all together, and there's no movement in chassis, and there's no real movement to where they want you to glue this core support tip chassis. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. You know, to say it's a 2014 tool, apparently, you know, it's not great, in all fairness. It's a great kit for a beginner just to throw together, but when you're trying to build something half decent out of it, then it's a bit frustrating. This is the other thing about this chassis. It is very toyish, I'll give you that. And it just sits in on, I think, both the front and rear suspension have these big pegs on them, which round two would just constantly gets hammered for the old mounting points for the screws. But you know, on the 2014 thing, it's quite okay. But don't get me wrong, you know, they position the chassis, position the axles okay, but where the torsion arms go into, there's just two holes in the chassis, and once they sit in there, one of them's bent up, and you know, I've tried bending it down, it feels like it's going to snap. So yeah, it's I don't know what I'm going to do with getting them torsion bars in, or whatever you call them, to fit right, but at the moment it just looks like they're just resting in the void. And you pull one side down, it pulls the chassis, the axle closer to the fender wall. So yeah, I think there's going to be some trial fitting. I may mock up some little brackets just to cover them holes in chassis more than anything. It just looks a bit naff, to be quite fair. But you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with front. I think I'd usually pose the suspension, but I might just leave it as it is, you know. And yeah, this is a kit that's just to get something built and get me building again. And I don't want it to end up with a massive frustration. I mean, there's only about 7 parts in the kit, and already I'm not overwhelmed with it. But you know, that's what model building's about. You know, it's sorting out all these little problems, but I don't really think I've done too much else. I'm just leaving the interior base plate on the sprue because it'll just be easier to paint. Took the seat off just so I could glue the back on and get that painted separately. Yeah, I think everything else is pretty much just going to get a coat of primer, and we'll take it from there. But I think before I do that, I think I want to get my ride height sorted and make sure I'm happy with chassis, because I know it's a basic kit, but like I say, with not many parts. But I don't want it sitting all wonky on bench or sitting in a way that I'm not happy. So the things we want to check for is just that the wheels don't stick too far out of the wheel arches, and they look like they're seated properly. And if I need to make any adjustments, I will, but I don't think I want to really get into that kind of depth with this thing. I just want to make a nice model, and I think that's what we'll end up with doing. And any little problems we come across, of course we'll get them sorted, and it might help you out of the way. I mean, if you wanted to build this kit and you didn't want to paint it or anything, you'd probably get it built in about, I'd say about an hour and a half, 2 hours. You'd probably get this model built from start to finish, if you're using fast glue and what have you. But I think it'll turn out a nice kit. It'll be another nice one on the bench once it's done. I think we just need to see it come together a little bit more and get over using coloured plastic and what have you, which I'm not a massive fan of. But I think by weekend we should have a little bit more progress on it. Probably have the body in colour. I wouldn't mind getting the decals and it foiled by sort of end of weekend, early next week, just so I can throw some clear on. Wait for the clear to dry, and then we can buff the body and what have you. But as it stands, that's where we are. That's what an hour and a half gets you. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I'll probably get another video out on at the weekend, whether it's a little bit of an update on this or something else. Not so sure yet, but I do want to try and get the videos coming more regular again now. So now we have the internet working, and we just need to sort out life in the background, and then we're all good to go, really. But I'm hoping this is a good start. So if you watched the video, many thanks to everybody who's done so. Many thanks to all the subscribers, everybody who stayed subscribed to the channel. Really appreciate it. And hope you have a nice evening, whatever you're doing tonight. Okay, we'll see you in the next video. See you, bye.